Okay guys, so in this video, I'm going to be running over one of our coaching clients, a case study from a client that I am personally working with one-to-one at the moment. Kevin, we started working together, I think it was just over a year ago. He came to me having, had a background of playing a lot of sport at university, but once he'd transitioned into his corporate job in the UAE and progressed significantly through the ranks to the point of becoming a director, he found that his fitness and his overall body composition slipped. So he came to me initially wanting to drop body fat, and that is purely what we focused on over the first 16 weeks of work together. We are still working together now, and we're now in a lean gaining phase. But what you can see here is his initial fat loss transformation from 97 kg all the way down to 83 kg, which you can see on the right. If you are new to the channel or you're new to my content in general, my name is Joe Gibson. I'm an online high performance coach. I own a brand called Athletic Aesthetic. We are based in the UAE, Dubai, and we specialize in helping professionals and business owners in high pressure jobs primarily drop body fat and build muscle and optimize their performance, not just in the gym, but also in the work setting as well. We do work with a few performance focused clients as well, people who are working towards events such as marathons, half marathons, triathlons and things like that. But the majority of clients that we work with across the client base, most people want to improve their body composition in some way. As I say, for most people, drop body fat and build muscle simultaneously, which certainly is possible. So I would like to think that, the approach that we take to our health and fitness and that which we preach to our clients is one that does not take over their life. Obviously, it does require a certain, element of time investment, obviously financial investment as well. But we will very much look at the client's routine in terms of their career, their family life, their socials. We look at their highest values and we see how we can slot, the health and fitness approach that is required in terms of their training and the nutrition, the accountability from our side into their routine, and one that will complement their life and hopefully not take up too much extra time. The majority of people that we work with are already training, I would say probably between 2 or 4 times a week. So it's not as though we're completely revamping their routine. It's more a case of looking at what they're currently doing, seeing where they're going wrong, and then optimizing things from there. We have a coaching team of 3, including myself, and we also have an in-house nutritionist who works one-to-one with all our clients as well. So a bit of background on the client in question in this case study. So as I previously mentioned, we were able to help him drop 14 kg in just 16 weeks from a starting point of 97 kg on the left here, all the way to 83 kg on the right here. That was the end of his fat loss phase. And after that, we ran a short reverse dieting phase where we brought his calorie intake back up, strengthened his metabolism again, and then moved him through to a lean gaining phase. And the route that we're on with Kevin now is essentially keeping him in shape year round, and then dialing things in if he does have holidays or events coming up that he wants to look his absolute best for. So to give you a bit of background, Kevin is a director at one of the largest companies in the UAE, and that company in question is a trade and logistics company. So it goes without saying he is working a high pressure job. He's quite frequently working late, past 10 p.m, 4 or 5 days a week. He is only 33 years old, but he does have a wife and 2 young kids to manage as well. So it's not as though, we can just put him on a bodybuilder approach of, be in the gym doing cardio and weight training 6 days a week and follow this exact meal plan. I would say, there was a lot of communication between myself and him to get him that result. His schedule was dynamic in the sense that, things were moved around. Sometimes we had to move training sessions around to suit meetings and things like that. Sometimes because he had young kids as well, his sleep wasn't as optimal as he would have liked. So we did have to alter the intensity of his training sessions as well. The approach that we take with all our clients to get them in phenomenal shape, it is very much a data-driven approach. So you can see here the weight graph over time, over the 16 weeks. And that was obviously built up as a result of tracking his body weight, at least 5 to 6 times a week. Alongside the data in terms of body weight, we do track key data with the client's training as well. So we will monitor their performance in the gym to make sure that they're improving, both in terms of strength and cardiovascular fitness as well. We also monitor certain variables, which I'll get onto in a second, in terms of step count and client recovery as well, just to make sure that we aren't, pushing them too hard to the point where, they can't actually perform at work as well, because there's no point, helping some, drop a load of body fat and look amazing if they're not actually feeling amazing at the same time. So we endeavor to get people in fantastic shape and help them feel amazing as well. So the first step, it goes without saying, was to design Kevin and all the other clients that are on board with us a personalized training program. Now, Because Kevin's primary focus was to drop body fat and build muscle at the same time, his training program was a resistance training focused routine in order to put him in the position to build lean muscle mass and increase his metabolic rate as well to promote fat loss. I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make. They think to lose body fat, you need to do a load of cardio. Cardio, you can view that as a tool to supplement on top of weight training to raise expenditure and help burn more calories, which will promote fat loss as well. But I always say to people, if you could only train 3 or 4 times a week and you could not do anything else in terms of training, no time to do cardio, I would really, really recommend doing strength training, because as I mentioned there, it will help you elevate your metabolism, which will make fat loss easier, and it will make getting lean and staying lean easier as well. Kevin did actually want to dedicate a lot of time to his routine, so we did put in sometimes 1, sometimes 2 short cardio sessions per week, again, just to elevate his expenditure, because when you are looking to drop body fat, you've got a choice. You can either move more and do more activity, or you can reduce your calories. Most people do a combination of both, but we took the decision with Kevin that we would reduce his calories and increase his intake as well. The training sessions that he was doing, they took no longer than 50 minutes. He could not be in the gym for any longer than that. Really, really busy guy. Sometimes he had to do the school run and then be in the office. So we had a window of about 45 to 55 minutes to get all his training done. And the cardio sessions were actually shorter than that as well. And what we did was place one of those on the weekend as well, so that he could have more time to work and spend time with his family throughout the week. Within the training sessions as well, we focused on specific mobility work to improve his posture and reduce the risk of injury. This is a common kind of thing that we see when we work with corporate clients. Is often, they've been spending between 6 to 10 hours a day at a desk, 5 to 7 days a week. Often they will have, shoulder issues, upper back mobility will be very, very poor as well. So everything that we do in the program it's not just to build strength, it's to improve posture and improve mobility as well. Because the last thing that we want is someone coming onto our program who wants to really, really kill it in the gym and train hard, lose body fat, but then they get a back injury, which is going to throw them out of training, or it's going to mean that they can't train at a high enough intensity to achieve that result. So everything we do in terms of from a training standpoint, is fully bespoke, and we will always assess clients with online screening assessments before they come on board, so that we can fully tailor their program. All the coaching program in terms of the training and the nutrition is delivered on our coaching app as well. The next step was to design a personalized nutritional approach for Kevin. So we actually took the decision with Kevin here, because he wanted to essentially just automate the process of his health and fitness and give it fully to us. We actually wrote him a meal plan in line with the calorie and macro targets that our in-house nutritionist Harry developed for him. We basically calculated how many calories Kevin would need to consume per day in order to have him lose that amount of weight, and then we created a meal plan off that. To be honest, most of the clients we work with, they just follow a calorie and a macro approach, because it provides more flexibility if you do need to eat out and things like that on the weekend or with clients, whatever. But as I say, Kevin wanted us to design a meal plan just so that he could eliminate and reduce decision fatigue there. And he basically ate similar things each day, although we did set him up with 3 separate days worth of meals within the meal plan, so that he didn't get bored of it and so that it didn't feel like a diet. We set him up with personalized macro targets, which, as I said, was in line with the meal plan. Generally, for most males, we will recommend 2 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. We give our clients a fat ceiling, and then the rest of the calories will come from carbohydrates to help them drive performance in the gym and give them good energy day to day. So obviously, with Kevin looking to lose weight, we had to calculate the numbers for him to be in a calorie deficit, and this was maintained throughout the entire process of the fat loss phase there. And what we did, if Kevin did feel a little bit fatigued or hungry one week, we ran what we call diet breaks for a few days, where basically we increased his calories to allow him to kind of like recharge, and then we go again. And I would really, really recommend doing that for anyone that's doing a fat loss phase of, I would say, 8 weeks or longer. Incorporate what we call diet breaks there, where we do bring calorie intake back up, because obviously Kevin works in an executive position. He's a director. He did have to eat out relatively frequently with some clients and some friends as well, and also family. So what we did was we basically Kevin would send over menus from restaurants ahead of time. I would help him select the sorts of meals that he should be choosing, and then we incorporated that into his calorie intake. So we did deviate from the meal plan slightly, but nonetheless we stuck to the calorie goal, which allowed him to continue to drop body fat. And it was those intermittent meals every couple of weeks that allowed him to, as I say, stay on track, still enjoy himself whilst losing weight, and not make it feel like a really, really laborious, boring diet. If we ever saw body weight plateauing for up to a week, we just reduced calorie intake by bringing down carbohydrates slightly, by editing the meal plan. And that's something that you will always need to do. If you are running a prolonged fat loss phase, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to drop body weight consistently. You will need to either reduce calorie intake or bring up more expenditure, whether that's through cardio and step count, which is what we're on to now. So in terms of expenditure, so we also chose to elevate Kevin's step count slightly. So brought it up from, I think, 8,000 a day all the way up to 10,000 and then eventually 11,000 steps per day. We couldn't raise it any further than that. Some people have more time to do steps. They can go and do 15,000 steps a day. It was not possible for Kevin's situation here just because he was so busy and he was working for at least 10 hours a day, Monday to Friday. So again, we had to create that deficit by reducing his calorie intake and also supplementing that by providing extra expenditure in the plan through 2 low intensity cardio sessions as well. So expenditure is a really, really useful tool that you can use to drive fat loss and burn more calories without pulling down calories from the nutritional plan. As I mentioned before, Kevin is married with 2 small kids, so he did have to dedicate a good amount of time in his routine to obviously spend time with them and not, just live like a bodybuilder. So there were regular lunch and dinners out. And as I say, we advised him to send over the restaurant menus ahead of time so that we could recommend the best things for him to eat. So generally people, when they eat out, they will, intentionally or unintentionally choose options that are low in protein and high in body fat. Sorry, not high in body fat, high in fat content, which isn't optimal if you're trying to stick to a calorie deficit. Ideally, you want to be selecting meals that are high in protein and relatively low in fat, just so that you're not wasting calories there. Along the 16-week period, Kevin did travel occasionally for work and also for leisure as well. So basically what we did with training is we always advise that clients try to do the training on certain days of the week, i.e. maybe if you were training 4 days a week, let's try and complete those training sessions on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. But it goes without saying, if things need to be moved around for travel, like they were in Kevin's situation, then we did adapt the training plan there. And sometimes if he was staying in a hotel, we would occasionally adapt the training plan too. And that's something that we see a lot with the sort of clients that we work with. We work with a lot of clients traveling from, for example, the UK to the US, or within the US, staying in hotels with per gyms. So we will always aim to set them up with almost like a second iteration of a training program that can be easily adapted for hotel gyms there, because the last thing we want is some of our clients going away, deviating from their normal routine and getting overwhelmed and not training for 4 to 7 days, and because that's when results really, really will slow down when you're trying to achieve a relatively swift fat loss result like we were doing with Kevin here. Aside from, obviously the training plan, the nutrition plan, all the targets and the metrics that we give our clients, I truly believe the reason that we're able to generate, world-class results within our niche with busy professionals is because the communication is frequent and it's of an incredibly high quality. So I think that's probably the most important part of the coaching process apart from the targets. So because we're working with, these busy individuals with dynamic schedules, things will need to be moved around. Someone might text me saying, I need to fly, across the country tomorrow. Can you adapt my training plan? And we will always endeavor to do that, within 24 hours, ideally 12, so that they can feel fully confident when they go away and they can still make progress. There are obviously going to be some weeks that are more difficult. If you are traveling for work, if you are sleep deprived like Kevin was occasionally because of his 2 young kids there. But the most important thing from our side as a coach is communicating with the client, keeping them consistent and allowing them to still progress, even if it's just a case of taking, 2 or 3 sessions off a week when they were programmed 4 or 5, that is still progress. And we consider those weeks, maintenance weeks rather than weeks where you're going to make a hell of a lot of progress. We obviously run as well a weekly check-in process with all our clients, which is what we consider, that minimum 1 formal touch point per week with every single client that we work with, where they will fill in a form, they will update all their data. We will then respond to their check-in with video feedback within 24 hours, letting them know whether we've made any changes. But we do encourage all the clients to communicate with us outside of those check-ins. Like me and Kevin, we communicate probably every couple of days on average, I would say. It's a really, really important part of the coaching process. So hopefully this has given you a really, really good idea of, how we managed to help Kevin achieve that fantastic result. And hopefully it's given you and provided you a bit of confidence that you can actually get in phenomenal shape, whether that's building muscle, losing body fat, or a combination of both, even if you are working a high pressure job, even if you obviously need to run your family life, and even if you need to travel with work as well. So if you are potentially interested in finding out more about our coaching, you will be able to find a link in the bio of this video where you can book a one-to-one strategy call with myself to discuss your fitness goals. This is not a sales call, it's an initial 30-minute intro call where we'll discuss your current situation, where you would like to get to, try and find out what you're struggling with at the moment, and for myself to try and fill in the gaps. And then of course, if you want to hear more about the coaching and how we would help you, then we can go into that as well. Cheers.